And I have a hard time seeing who's on. Wish I could see. Laura's on. Can you just tell me who's on? Who's logged in?
Ella Johnson, Evan, Laura Mello, Leanne, Mrs. Eminem, Olivia Travaris, and Mrs. Cardiff.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. It's 6:30. Let's call the February 25th regular Board of Ed meeting to order.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Do we have any public comment this evening? Right, not seeing any. And also just to let everybody know, Laura is joining us virtually tonight, so she is on the meeting. Laura, feel free to speak up at any time. Just raise your hand so that we know you need to say something and we'll stop talking, okay? I do need a motion to add a line item or an agenda item.
I would like to make a motion to add new business B, current calendar.
Okay, can we get a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor? Okay, thank you. And correspondence?
I have none.
Okay. I have none as well. And any reports? Superintendent report.
Okay. Good evening. My report is not that long, and you had it in your packet. I'll just review some of those things briefly. Mariella Cueva, our payroll and accounting coordinator, is no longer with us in person, but she is able to do some work for us remotely until we find a replacement, and we continue to look for that. We did hire a para educator recently who was supposed to start this week. That didn't happen yet. Maybe tomorrow. Lorraine Nichols. And I said to you, we should start thinking about tuition rates, the amount of revenue we gather from students from Preston and Voluntown mainly. And that goes to the town. And we're projecting, I think it's $527,000 to the town next year based on our students that we expect. And here's rates for next year, except for Waterford and Madison. I couldn't find the rates for next year, but these are their rates for this year, current year, right? Yeah, you can see they're over 21,000 currently. Okay, and we're so for next year though, you can see Groton, NFA, Griswold, and North Stonington, and maybe one of our board members can check my NFA number. I'm right on, right, Brian?
Right about there, yeah.
Okay, and so you can see we're significantly less. We're actually, if you do the math, we're $1,333 less than Griswold, which is the second lowest for next year. So I don't know, is Griswold a better education than us? I don't think so. I think we're better. I think we're better than a lot of districts, and we're charging. I think the towns are going to pay. If you raise the rate, they're going to pay anyway because kids want to come. And they're paying more to send the kids other places. So I know last time we looked at this and we did a 4-year plan, the idea was we wanted to remain low so we continue to attract the kids. I believe, and I've heard from people that they believe that kids are going to continue, towns are going to continue to pay if their kids want to come here, and the kids want to come here. So I think it's an opportunity to generate more revenue for the town, to raise the rates a little bit. So what I'm looking for is maybe a little guidance from the board so that I could produce another 4-year plan for you and bring it to you possibly next time. So, do you want to stay, $1,300 less than Griswold?
When you had first given us the report, I had penciled in 15K as my
my thought for our next spot moving forward.
I did 14,750.
Yeah.
What is the percentage increases that we had in the past each year? What was the percentage?
It was
that
about
we went?
4% we went up for every year for the last plan, we went up about, I think it was 4%.
Can we see what that looks like again too?
I could give you a couple different plans to look at. I could do a 4% every year. I could do a 5% every year.
I mean, we certainly, we don't want to be the lowest on the list. You know what I mean? You don't want to be the bargain for everybody. You know, I mean, I think we should definitely be above Griswold at least.
Yeah, and the specialized education that you do offer here, I don't, it's crazy to me, and I've said this in past Board of Finance meetings. No way should we be at the rate that we're at this point.
Right.
That doesn't include the special education money that comes in from the sending towns, because that thing gets
That's right.
charged.
No.
above
I said specialized education, not a special.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think we have to be careful going up 4%, 4%, 4%, because at that point, you then start to outpace some of the other districts, which is fine if you want to go higher than some districts. But I know what the typical average increase at NFA is a year, and it's usually about 3 to 3.5% a year. If you start going 4%, 4%, 4%, you will outpace that, and the districts will start to look at that and begin to balk.
It might be that you want to make an adjustment in the first year and then go up at a smaller percent for the next three. So if you went up 5%, so this 13,446 is the rate for next school year,
Mhm.
just to be clear, right?
Yep.
So we're talking about the year after that. If you went up 5% from that, you'd be at
$600.
14,118,
Mhm.
which is still less than what Griswold is, right? So it's still not enough. So, I mean, you'd have to go up. You have to go up a lot in the first year to get, if you want to be higher than Griswold. So if you
I
went up
think-
10%,
I think one of the things,
10%, you're equal to Griswold almost. If you go up 10% in the first year.
I think one of the things that comes into play is that if what we do is present them with a 4 or 5 year plan,
Mhm.
then it mitigates the fact that we make a big jump. So to be able to put ourselves on par with Griswold by going to like a 14,750 or a 15K to start, and then showing what our increases will be over the next 4 or even 5 years, I think that can be a mitigating factor to the towns to be able to say, hey, listen, yes, this is a big jump here, but it's also not a big jump in their budgets because both of our sending towns send, 10 at maximum. So you're talking about a difference of $12,000,
Right.
not a difference of, like, if NFA puts their rates up, towns that are sending 40 kids there, that's a huge impact on their budget. This isn't so much.
They just want to see the numbers on the table for the next 5 years plan. So maybe not focus on the percentage.
Yeah, we don't have to put the percent. We could just put the number.
Mhm.
So I could create a couple options for you to look at next time if you like.
That'd be great if you don't mind.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, that would be fantastic. Thank you.
Is that enough feedback for you to feel like you know where we're?
I think
Sitting?
so.
Okay.
I got the idea that we want to be like on par with other schools like Griswold on one scenario and maybe go up a lot in the first year. But then I can also show a scenario where we're not going up as much one year and we're just kind of incrementally going up and
Mhm.
staying on the lower side. And you can look at both. But the only way to get up with the other ones is to jump up.
Yep.
So,
And maybe just two options so that we
Yeah,
don't have
okay.
too many to.
okay, I'll give you two options.
Okay, all right, thank you. Don't
A
don't
and
give
B.
us too
Don't
many
overwhelm.
choices. It's
There
like
you go.
children, right? Okay.
Generators.
Oh, generator. Well, I also school resource officers, I gave you some information. Maybe you read through some of that. Some of it's a couple years old. But it's just good information. You'd asked if I could find some things, so I did. And then the generator, we got a little bit more information about what they power, what they don't power. So this is a little summary of that. You can see both schools. And then, so now we're looking to get an idea of what it would take to power the things we want it to power that it's not currently. Both two different systems, right? One's for the elementary school, one is for Wheeler. So what are the things that we wanted to power? For example, at the elementary school and Wheeler, we wanted to power the IT rooms because if the power is out too long on our IT infrastructure, that could be really bad. And we may have to replace a lot of that. So that's a priority and some of the other items are a priority as well.
Troy, also bathrooms. I feel like bathrooms for safety reasons should definitely be lit.
Yeah, bathrooms are also a priority.
Or
So
at least designated bathrooms that the kids can go to that they know are
Yeah,
lit.
they can-
Yeah,
especially without windows.
Right.
bathrooms, And I don't think.
Would it be possible at some point to get the generators to be able to power all these things? Is it just a matter
We're
of getting the
looking to
wiring
see
done?
that. We're trying to figure out what is the capacity of each of the generators. And we may have to prioritize, but maybe it can power all these things. So it's a work in progress still, but we've made some progress.
But none of the classrooms are on this, right? Those are in the dark from what I
Yeah,
am seeing. Okay.
that's right. And they all have windows, which is good.
Right. But
Right.
then, okay. And one other question, not like big rooms where the students could come together, like the gymatorium or anything like that.
Yeah, no, those are not
Okay.
powered.
Are we an emergency shelter?
It should be powered because that's why we have those big fans.
We're not an emergency shelter.
Okay.
Yeah.
So.
I thought we were too at one time, but we're not.
So if we lose power in an emergency situation and we're not powering up the gymnatorium, we're not powering up classrooms, is the plan then to get the buses and send kids out anyway? We're not planning on keeping school running on generator power, is that? Because it seems odd to me that we wouldn't have our main spaces where our kids are powered up. If we're not, obviously we need heat and all of that, so things aren't freezing up and everything. But I'm just curious, what's the plan if we go on to generator power? Is it to still
Well,
hold school
we-
or not hold school?
Well, we hope that the power will come back on. And it's a tricky thing because you don't ever really know. Like sometimes you don't know why the power is out. Could be an accident that happened down the street and the utility pole, hypothetically. And sometimes power will go out and then it'll be out for like 5 minutes and it comes back. But sometimes it's a half an hour and then you got to decide, okay, do we send the kids home? Or do we wait another half hour and keep our fingers crossed as it come back on? So it's like a tricky call.
Is
But
there,
if we knew it wasn't coming back on, I think we send the kids home.
Okay.
do you have a procedure in place? Like, okay, the power went out at 9 o'clock. If it's not on in 60 minutes or 80 minutes or whatever, then you decide to really, is there something in place that guides?
There's no hard and fast guide for
Okay.
that. It's just kind of
a
judgment.
call?
about, what's going on with the
Like in a
schools.
hurricane, if we're running on generator for 5 days, we're not bringing the kids back
No.
and forth to school,
No.
right? Okay.
No.
Okay.
I guess I would like to see like one spot where the kids could be safe together with lights on.
Yeah, right. That's a good
Um,
idea.
Whether
The roof.
they work outside, I don't know. But a space where maybe we had one safe location that's kind of known while you make that decision, especially if things are on here that aren't powered, like classrooms and things like that.
Yeah, one space.
Any other questions on that at this point? Thank you for doing that, Troy. We've
Oh,
been
sure.
I know that's been an issue for a while, so we appreciate you continuing to look into that. As far as the chair report, I don't have anything outside of what we've been working on with budget work. I did reach out to Kathy yesterday and ask a few more questions about the budget, so we'll discuss that today. And then, we'll talk about the superintendent search as well. That's all I have to report at this time. And student ambassadors, super ambassadors.
I lost my phone. I'm gonna ping it. Sorry.
Good evening, everybody. So to start off, I'll do the high school here. So we just finished our Board of Ed ambassador selection process for the next year. And we're happy to announce that Elias Johnson and Olivia Tavares, who are online right now, are going to be taking over the roles for me and Anna in the next school year. So you'll begin to see them coming around shadowing and seeing what we do here in the next couple of weeks. We will remain to do this through the end of the school year, and then they will take over, but they both completed their interviews with the administrative team and are super excited to represent the school and student body. Moving on, our seniors are getting college and employment acceptances, and we'll be celebrating decisions in the spring coming soon. And our school counselors are busy to prepare a scholarship fair in hopes of getting more financial opportunities and scholarships coming up for more students. They just held a super successful elective fair to offer students more information on our current elective offerings at Wheeler. It went great. It was a great opportunity for the students, and they truly benefited from it. And our counseling department, they're working hard to bring these, new opportunities and events like this to all of our students. For our middle school, the students just celebrated their semester pride event. So they went bowling all together at Alley Cats. They celebrated their hard work efforts for the first semester, including academic and extracurricular activities from last semester. And then we have a lot of athletic celebrations. Both middle school and high school cheer teams won their competitions. The high school took first place in the ECC for Division III. And then the high school girls basketball program clinched their Division IV title, and they're going to be starting their state tournament. So hopefully they can make a run soon. Grateful for the North Wellington Elementary School and the PTO who have quickly shifted the basket raffle so we can host our first tournament game at the home that night because of all the snow and pushbacks. And our indoor track team did well. Our girls finished 4th overall and the boys 5th, which is our highest placement so far. Our middle school boys basketball team lost in the semifinals of their tournament. They had a great season, and our middle school girls basketball team lost once again in their championship. Same thing. They're in the semifinals. So both teams, congrats and great season overall. And as we approach the halfway mark for the third quarter, students are busy with courses. So our high school model UN team is getting ready for a national competition. They're going to New York City next month. Trip is being sponsored through the Title VI grant, and will give our Wheeler team actual floor time with the UN ambassadors from many nations at the United Nations. And our climate committee has been working hard at work in district-wide and have created a district climate plan that includes the updated policies, reporting procedures, as well as initiatives and action steps for both buildings. This plan is shared on the website. Both school committees will review the climate data in the spring and continue to make changes and update this plan. And that's all I have for the high school.
Gonna give a few more comments on the high school updates before I get into the elementary school. Like James said, our Model UN team is getting ready to go to New York City for NHS Month, which we are all very, very excited for. We get to participate in some workshops during the first day, and we get to meet real current members of permanent committees in the United Nations. We'll be able to do Q&As and get to know more about specific members and who they represent and what their topics are currently discussing, as well as get some tips that we can apply to Model UN. That is going to be taking place on March 13th, 14th, 15th, and 16th. It is a 4-night overnight conference. So all of the students who are participating are well aware of making up schoolwork in a reasonable time when they're missing the Friday and Monday. Furthermore, we just had our senior travel club come back from Rome. It was a very amazing trip. We all had so much fun. It was a great experience. We got to see the Colosseum, Vatican City, St. John's Basilica. We saw Pompeii and Positano. Oh my gosh, there were so many things that we did. We saw, some of us saw the outside of the Parthenon. There was one lucky student and teacher who saw the inside because they decided to wait in the very long line. But overall, it was a very great trip, very amazing. Some of us did a food walking tour, which was amazing. So much better than American food. So highly recommend it if you ever get the chance. Some other upcoming events that we have. The NHS is hosting a Red Cross blood drive on March 3rd, which will take place here. It'll be from 7:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. You can sign up by the Red Cross website under Wheeler or reach out to Mrs. Colley or student leader Jada Overmoyer, who is spearheading the Red Cross blood drives for NHS this year. The NHS induction ceremony will be held at Wheeler High School on March 9th. To welcome in the new junior and a few senior members who are joining NHS this year. More NHS stuff. Lily Valancourt's, she has her NHS project is coming up. They're doing a donation drive of markers, dry erase markers, small canvases, canvas paint, paint brushes, construction paper, easel paper, and pencils due to a classroom pipe leak at Noank Baptist Church. So that'll be from February 19th to March 6th. And donations can be dropped off at the high school during operating hours, just letting them know that it's donations for the specific drive. Jordan Stein, her senior project is going to be from March 16th to March 27th, collecting donations for Easter baskets for local hospitals. The basket raffle that was mentioned, I believe, is still going to be taking place on March 6th, just with the location change. And then Wheeler High School debate team's first, hopefully annual debate competition is going to be hosted at Wheeler High School on March 26th. So our debate team is really excited for that. We've never hosted our own debate competition before. We have hosted for other competitions, but hopefully this one will stick. So we're really excited. And then a special thanks to those who supported the paint and sip night at the library. They were able to raise around $370 to support the library's renovations. And now moving on to the elementary school. The last 2 weeks, elementary school conducted their STEM week. The week kicked off with an all unified arts teachers creating a host of activities for the students to do focused around the theme of the Winter Olympics. Each grade level was selected a country to follow and graph medal counts. Each class took some time to participate in their own STEM activities during the 2-week span. There's a big thank you to Ms. Schott and the rest of the STEAM committee for keeping their STEAM initiatives fun and educational. And since the last Board of Ed report, the elementary school held its annual Spelling Bee and 100th Day celebrations. This year, their Spelling Bee champ was Liam DeSimone, and he will be going to represent the school in the state Spelling Bee later in March. The second grade enjoyed a visit from First Selectman Bob Carlson, who spoke to the students about citizenship. They completed all of their mid-year assessments, and teachers are working within their teams and their interventionists to analyze the data and decide next steps for their learners. They also started an accelerated math program for 6th grade, and students who have qualified now have an additional math time during their WIN block to begin working on some 7th grade material with Ms. Ganapieko. Next month, they're looking forward to the drama club presentation of Beauty and the Beast Jr. The cast and crew have been hard at work preparing for the show and are very excited for everyone to see the final product. The shows will take place on March 19th, 20th, and 21st. That's it. Any questions?
Do you know where the location of the basket raffle is going to be? You might not, but I just
Yes,
was curious.
I think I have it right here. It'll be moved to the elementary school.
Okay,
There you
thanks.
go. Of course.
Thank you so much. Always really informative. Does anybody have anything else? All right. Thanks, guys. You're welcome to stay for our riveting budget conversation. That would be great. But you don't have to if you've got homework or whatever you need to do. Where's my agenda? Where are we at? Oh, finance committee. Here we go. All right. So that's going to bring us up to facilities and finance. We met for an hour prior to this meeting. Not enough time ever. But go ahead, Judy, and let us know what you'd like to discuss there.
Everybody has a copy of their finance report in their packet. Right now, we're looking favorable for the end of the year at, oopsie. we're looking favorable at $36,365, with the vast majority of that coming from medical, which once again is difficult to budget for since we don't know who's going to be taking it. There was some expenses in maintenance that Kathy was able to explain. Some of them were contracts that needed to be paid. And the name of them, I forgot the name of the people. New England Mechanical. They spent a little bit of work at the school. But other than that, we're trending favorable still. So we should move on to the budget.
Do you have any questions on the finance year to date currently? All right, you'll see that the 100,000 went in from the insurance from the cyber incident. So that has helped us because we did cover quite a few of those expenses in the non-lapsing. So that's helpful as well, since we were over quite a bit on special education this year. And we're also able to, it looks like we purchased some things for the media center. Is that correct, Troy, currently?
Yes.
Okay, great. Some furniture, because we're looking at really updating that space to be more of a hands-on area. So
Yes.
that's exciting that we were able to fund some of that as well. So if we don't have any other questions on it, we just need a motion to move it to the Board of Finance.
Yeah.
Oh, does it? Oh.
Agenda. Yep.
Well, we forgot it last time, so I want to make sure we didn't miss it this time. All right, so that's it for that. That takes us into old business, the budget discussion. And I guess I can, do you want me to start out? Do you want to go ahead?
Could I just say one thing?
Absolutely,
Because
as
it kind
much
of
as you
fits
go.
under here.
Yeah.
And it fits under here because Randy Rummerl, our Director of Facilities, came and spoke to you a few meetings ago and advocated for an additional custodian. Over the last 3 days, our maintenance and custodial department put in a ton of work. We had like 30.5 inches of snow, the most in any town in Connecticut. And they were here and they did a ton of work with equipment that wasn't ideal. And he's also talked to you about that. This type of snow was sticky. It got clogged up in the snow blowers. They had to do a lot of shoveling by hand. And these, our custodians and maintenance people are tired. Okay, but we're opening on time tomorrow because of all their dedication and their work that they put in. And I think that it's worth appreciating all the work that they did and their dedication. And yes, and if they had one more member of the team, it could have gone smoother. If they had better equipment, it could have gone faster. But you know what? We're opening on time tomorrow. Good to, thank you to Randy and his team.
Thank you, Troy. And thank you for your messages, letting us know about school closures. Always great to hear your voice. So it was very nice.
Thank you. Thank you.
As we look to the budget, a couple of things that Kathy and Troy and I talked about just briefly, and we talked about at the Finance Committee, is the format of how we're presenting it. And the budget we got last time had this year's budget and next year's budget. I did ask for a column to be added of what our actual forecast is for this year, because I think some of the numbers look like we have a big increase where really it's just trending on what we actually had to spend this year. So I think if we can have those 3 columns, that's a better story for us. Also, maybe not worrying so much about doing the math on each percentage, because a movement from 1,500 to 2,000 can look like a really large percentage where it's actually not that much money. So more focusing on the numbers than the percentages, I think will tell our story a little bit better as well. How do you guys want to tackle this? One of the questions, I guess, we kind of put out to the Finance Committee and maybe now to the whole board is, we know our need is around 6.65% increase over last year's budget to fund what we need to fund. We also know that we probably have to take a look at our non-lapsing account and what things can we move from that 6.65 increase into that non-lapsing to help support that budget. But I guess what the big ask was, how comfortable are we with that number and moving that forward? Or were there things when we looked at these numbers that we felt like maybe we could trim something, while not ideal, where that would be? So maybe if you guys are comfortable with it, starting down with Chet and coming around the table, does that make sense?
Sorry, do we have an extra copy of the budget or a
Do you have a copy? of the
digital copy? Or is it in the,
It's not in the packet.
it's not, yeah.
budget? I have a couple I can hand out.
I think, oh,
I already looked at it during.
okay, never mind. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Oh, sure. I'll take one. Sorry, I figured I didn't need it now because we just looked at it in finance, but. So I go back and forth on this because I always have a hard time when other people look at the number and say, hey, we should be at 4% instead of looking at what could we possibly do to get there. And so I always have a hard time. I know during finance committee, I said that I would feel a lot more comfortable if we were at 5.5 instead of 6.5, because I feel like it's going to be a real hard sell for us to move forward with a 6.65% budget. I think a 5.5 is a place to go. I think though that what I would like to do is, I mean, we talked a little bit about the software pieces of things. Kathy said she thought that there were definitely some spaces where she might be able to look at that we might be able to do a hard dive into that. I don't want to task them with getting to a number, but simply to, as far as we can get down in those spaces, I think are great. Thinking about the fact that we had some shifting of dollars and the fact that we took some money that was not going to be going to non-lapsing, it went into non-lapsing. Now, some of that money that replaced some of that money went into our general operating budget. I do also think, we bought the furniture, that shifting of money. I think we want to prioritize some things and put in if we can. But I think that at the moment, trending at 36,000, I don't like putting much more than that. I like to have a buffer for the end of the year. But I have no problem spending down most of our non-lapsing at this point of the year to offset what we can and lower what we're presenting to the Board of Finance. So that would be where I stand.
Yeah, I think that if we go to them with a 6.6% budget increase, it's going to be the same situation as last year, where they're going to say 4, and then we're going to have to try to make that work. And I really don't have to go through that again. So I don't know what we can do to try to make it better other than, dip into the non-lapsing wherever we can. Yeah, I don't have much else, but I think we need to get it down at least to 5.5%, so they don't come at us aggressively, when we go to present it.
From what I heard at the last meeting is this is the best budget that you put forward. So if there's a few technology that we can move, great, but I think we should put it forward.
All right, so the 6.65%, when I look at a budget as far as from a Board of Finance view, we're first going to look at, what the town has, and they're going to tell us what the decrease needs to be based on what they're looking at for the town at that moment in time, without raising a mill rate. So I'd like to see the difference for the increase and what those items are and what those line items are. And then I think we need to look at subscriptions for technology and see what we can use, to try to get more bang for our buck, what programs can really provide more assistance overall, know if just 2 teachers are using a program, let's see if there's another program that they can use instead. Maybe get some input from the teachers and exactly what they're using. Some of these programs are pretty steep, so if we can condense them, I think that would be something to look at. And also tech hardware. Maybe that's something that we can look to. And then with the additions, a lot of times in budgets, the easiest thing to do is say, this is what we need and let's add it. Really, that's ideal because you can get more, to have more, you can sometimes do more, but maybe we can be more creative with looking at what we have and reworking a few things before adding. So I don't know where in the budget that can be done. But I think most of the time administrators and teachers have already done that. So if we can just look a little closer to that to be sure, I think they're usually pretty good and are asking for stuff because they've already tried to be creative. So that's it. I just think we need to know more about the ads. It's obviously teacher salaries, contracts, but I think that's a step forward.
I look at this and I get where Chet's coming from saying, 5.5 would probably be about the bare minimum we could get to do what we need. Out of curiosity, I know when I was online last time, so didn't have a hard copy of everything in front of me. What was the overall impact to the budget increase due to contractual obligations for next year? Because I believe that was the biggest driver, correct?
831,000.
What's that?
831,000.
Which equals what percent? So what if we're talking about
These two.
right? So if we're looking at that, what percentage of the budget increase is not tied to? Because that's what we have to look at.
It's what the budget increase percentage is not tied to salaries and benefits is 1.35. But that 1.35 includes bus transportation and other things that we absolutely have to have. So there's not much in that 1.35 that you can cut out.
Can you pull the bus out too? Because to me, that's contractual as well.
Yeah.
Right? Like we're on a contract for the
bus.
bus. So if we were to remove transportation,
We're actually,
what?
right, we're actually, though, and the budget slide I presented shows that we're actually a little bit lower in transportation next year. We're actually saving 13,000.
Okay.
Going into next year for transportation.
So I mean, I know that.
But there's technology, maintenance, other expenses of schools, which is teacher supplies, textbooks, all that kind of stuff is that other.
So really any cuts that we're making are going to come out of that 1.35,
Yeah.
which is a very small number to begin with, a percentage to begin with.
It's like 100,000.
So, I mean, I understand that there's going to be some kind of pushback, but the budget's going to be what it's going to be, and we know what those drivers are. So you go forward with the 6.65, try to trim it down. I would be comfortable with either.
Thank you. Judy?
Listening to all the town meetings and being a reevaluation year, I wouldn't be comfortable going in with a 6.65. I would be comfortable with trying to take as much technology as we could out of the budget and spending down the non-lapsing, which I know can be a little risky, but it's also risky not getting a budget approved. So I would be happier with going with Chet, and the 5.5 would be a better way to go, using the non-lapsing to the best of our ability.
Okay. Any comments on the budget? Anything over there that you'd like to add? Okay.
Kathy, can I $160,000 would be about 1%,
Yes.
right? Because it's like a $16 million budget.
Mhm.
So in non-lapsing right now, not already encumbered, we have
184.
okay. So I mean, if we spent to zero in non-lapsing, we would just get to that 5.5.
Mhm.
which I also don't really feel comfortable getting to that point.
But then there's also other things that.
Well, and
Kathy's-
yeah,
that we
to cut
could
down
look at
those other
taking
pieces
out,
that we had
yes.
talked about in the finance committee, I
Right.
would like to see what those numbers would look like. And then what kind of an impact we can make if we, if we spend down 100,000 out of non-lapsing and do that. That I would be comfortable with 100,000 out of non-lapsing to help putting it down, but I don't know how much farther than that I don't know. Maybe 100, maybe 130.
So I think we need to keep in mind how much we rolled over there from last year that we had said we were going to return to the town.
Yep.
And we need to keep that in the forefront of our discussion. Always nice to keep a buffer in the non-lapsing, but we need to really take a hard look at it for the IT and some of that. There's not obvious in front of us things that we can cut, right? We don't want to cut anything, but obviously I think coming forward with a 6.65, one thing we did ask at the finance committee to look at is what did we budget for technology this year? And what additional things did we purchase that weren't in this year's budget? So did we buy extra Chromebooks that we were able to purchase? What extra laptops did we get? We got some whiteboards so we need to see that list of what was budgeted this year and then what did we actually purchase and where did it come from? Non-lapsing, the operating budget, where did it come from? And then what's left for our need next year? And, that's obviously the place that we can move into non-lapsing is that IT piece. The other thing we talked about a little bit was looking at supplies, some of the general supplies, whether it's custodial supplies, things like that. We don't want to overbuy on any of that. All right. So we want to just make sure we're getting what we need. But I think that Kathy and Troy have a pretty good understanding that we're not quite comfortable at 6.65. And I think they're the ones best suited to look at that and come back to us with something different. The other thing I think that you'll need to come back with is what can we trim out and maybe move to non-lapsing? And then what does it look like if we go further? Because that'll be the question that we always get from the Board of Finance is show it to us if you go further. So what is that? And it's not positions. I don't want to hear about a particular position, but is it salaries? Is it sports? Is it music? What is it? What if something's got to give to go further than where we're comfortable going? Where does it come from and what does it look like?
Okay.
But what we don't want to do is talk about positions because we're not in that place. We don't want to do that. We're not even close to even considering that. I think last year it came across somehow that we were going to cut staff. That is not what this board is about. That's not what we've ever been about. But if the Board of Finance is going to push us to a point of gutting out our school system, we need to see what that looks like. Okay. We need to support this school. This school is bringing in the revenue in this town, not only from tuition, the educational cost sharing is not going down. Our grant funding is staying relatively flat from my understanding. But I'm pretty sure if you looked at who's moving into this area, it's people with children. I'm pretty sure there's a reason why our property values went up the way they did. It's because we have an amazing town and an amazing school. So I think we need to continue to invest in our school and not look at us as an expense, but we're actually an investment well worth, I think, every dollar. So at this point, I would be comfortable, if you guys are comfortable, leaving it up to Troy and Kathy to go back and see where they're comfortable making some of those cuts and how can we shift as much as possible into that non-lapsing without making it hollow, I guess is the word.
I guess I would also just say I would be much more on board with avoiding purchase of the smart boards as opposed to the teacher laptops or the Chromebooks. I think that those were the ones that, like, yes, we should have them in our classrooms. They should be there. They're the ideal way to be handling education at the moment. But at the same time, I think our teacher laptops
Priority.
need to be replaced, whether it comes out of non-lapsing or whatnot. But I think that those smart boards can be something that we push a year if need be.
Okay. And also, I think to Troy's point about what's going on with our building services and facilities maintenance and everything else, I'm comfortable looking still at keeping the custodian in. Are you guys all on board with that? I think it's necessary, and we don't want to start losing our team because we're overtapping them. All right. And then and I think that was it for me right now. For me personally, does anybody else have anything else they want to add to that budget conversation at this point?
I guess I say this every year. I'm very hesitant to spend down the non-lapsing, especially on things that we promised that we were going to do. So we made a policy for technology in the classroom, and now we're kind of like, oh wait, we'll put it in non-lapsing again. So I would be a hard no on things like that. Smart board, sure, but I'm also very nervous if we trim too much, then we have no place to go. And so I say that every year. Yeah.
And that's kind of, I agree with you 100%. If we go in saying, okay, well here, no matter if we came in at 0, I think they would say, well, can you go lower? My ask has always been, can we get it to the people of the town to make the decision on the budget that we need, but that this is the process that we are given. So if we can't get there, we can't get there, Troy. I mean, to Jamie's point, if we can't get there, we can't get there. And if our best number ends up being 6 or 6.1 or 5.95, then that's where it is.
Yeah, I do think probably that's more realistic.
And what will happen is
5.5
then, but we do need to show, I think, that second scenario,
Yeah.
because otherwise we're just wasting time. Because it's always going to be, well, what else can you do? And then we don't want to say, well, let us go back and try some more. Let's come to the table showing what that worst case scenario would look like.
Well, and Jamie, I know I've always been a strong proponent of the non-lapsing is for educational purposes. This is meant to be able to enhance and enrich and all of these things. The only reason that I'm feeling differently this year is because of the fact that we had that extra rollover that we weren't going to have otherwise. Yes. And I feel like that's the piece that number is something that I don't feel as strongly about as I did in general when it came to our overall spending of the non-lapsing, because that was money we were not going to have that we now have. Would I rather spend it on stage lights? 1,000%. But if it's going to get our budget through in this off situation, I think that's also something that I will consider this year that I normally am fighting tooth and nail against. So
Yep, I agree. The other thing is, if we can, really try to let parents know that this conversation is going on now, not when it's coming to the town meeting. Now is the time to get the budget that we'd like to get passed and put to the people of the town. So if there's any way to get people to speak up, listen, join in on the meeting when we're presenting, that's the meeting where we need to hear from parents. That's the meeting where we need to hear from people that support our schools before the Board of Finance puts forward our budget. So if and the reason I'm looking at you guys is because you're in the school right now. I'm a little more removed from it.
What's that date again?
That date is, give me 1 second. Let's see. I have it right here. It is March 12th. I'm on the wrong one. Sorry. I'm looking at last year's. Okay. March 18th. Yes. All right. Yep. So anything we can do to get support now, I think is super helpful. All right. And that way too, if we do get some drastic cuts, our families and people that support the school know what those are and hopefully be able to rally behind us on that. All right, anything else on the budget? Okay. Kathy and Troy, does this seem fair to you or do you have any questions for us at this point? Okay, Troy. All right.
I'm good.
All right.
Yeah, well, I think it's not fun, but I will do it. We'll find what we can.
But Troy, also, if you really find nothing, then that's your answer. You know, we're just doing our job right now to ask you.
I'll
So-
find you like $5.
No, I'm just saying, like, it is what it is. And, you know, present to them what you truly feel
Okay.
the school needs.
Okay. That brings us up to the conversation about the school resource officer. I know there's some information in the packet that Troy provided. Brian, you had said you had some things on that. Did you want to share any of that?
It's all on my computer at home and I forgot to email it out in advance, but I did happen to look at the MOU or MOA between the state police and the tech schools for how they fund. It's about a 17-page document. It places the burden for payroll on the school that is taking on the resource officer from the state police. I don't know what that would look like for us because we're not a tech school. We're not one of those 8-9 schools that they're working with. So there is that. I do have a copy of that I can share out with people. You know, I guess my question really becomes, are we looking for a police officer or are we looking for individuals who can be campus safety individuals? And I think that becomes the question that we have, because if you want to go the campus safety route, that are people that have crisis response, that have worked in, say, have functioned as COs or something like that, or retired law enforcement that understand incident command, understand how to liaise with the police. I think you could come up with a more creative, cost-effective solution for the town by getting, you know, either 1 or 2 full-time or a couple of part-timers that then can overlap and provide that sort of a coverage to the district. There are multiple districts in the region that do have some type of campus safety department or officers that they work with for their district and campuses. So I can get that information for you. But again, I did not bring my computer with me, so I do apologize.
That's okay. Laura, I'm sorry, I forgot to look for you out there.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I would say that we're looking more towards the safety.
Laura, can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear me? We don't have. Oh, can you hear me?
Now we can, yes.
Okay, great. So I would say that we're thinking more along the lines of a safety officer. I don't think that the district can afford an SRO. I think we get more bang for our buck when we're looking at a safety officer. But I also wanted to do a little bit more research on it too. I know that there was mention of an assessment done by Gary a couple of years ago. Perhaps Gary has a copy of that assessment that he did, but also I haven't seen, because I wasn't on the board until recently, the most recent, maybe couple years of the school climate surveys that folks did too, just to kind of see where the community and the parents and teachers are feeling that where those safety concerns are.
Okay. I think that you guys just talked about the climate surveys, right? And they were posted online, is that correct? Did you mention that in your report? Not to put you on the spot, but for some reason I thought, but we are going to anyway.
I think it was like the last one in the high school.
So it's just all I got is that they've been shared on the website,
They're on the, okay.
and that they'll be reviewed in the spring to continue the updates on the plan.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Great.
All right.
Good job.
Amy, did you have something you wanted to add? Your light's on.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
No, I think it's just more of a school safety thing. And, you know, I think that a safety officer does fill the, you know, a double role of also providing support within other areas of the school. But where we're located, where, in our 3-foot world, when you look outside of that, there's a lot more going on that schools need to look at for safety and security of students and staff and anyone on the campus. The reason I brought like all this up is, we're looking at, and I don't mean to make this like a throw under the bus issue or anything, but like we need the security cameras. There's a lot of different things that we can look at for school safety. I know the school safety officer isn't going to be an instant thing, but without saying things, at a public meeting, there's things that we really need to look at to provide the utmost safety of our students. And I think the thing when you think about a SRO or a security officer, you get different ideologies involved, and we're not looking at the issues of what schools are facing today. And what they can be faced with in a matter of seconds when all other schools might be facing the same issue. So we need to really look at our response to security. And if, there's no way to get a security officer, on this budget, which it doesn't seem to be, it's a big ask, I know, but I'm going to keep stomping on the fact that we need to look at security.
And I agree with Amy 100%. We need to make sure that everybody's safe and feel secure in school. And again, I don't think we can afford another salary right now for a security officer. Maybe cameras is they're a better way to look at it. My question when I was looking at what Troy had sent us is all the other schools seem to be much larger than ours. So if you're looking at a percentage of how many students every officer would be dealing with, do we even have enough students to support that role, or maybe less, part-time help like Brian said would be better? I just don't know if we even, of course we need security here. I don't know the best way to go about it, I guess.
And I think Chet brought up a really good point during the last meeting where, Preston does a really nice job of engaging their resident state trooper and bringing that person in and actually having dedicated time that they come in, right?
No, it's not like, we have assemblies that he runs and things like that, but it's not like we don't have I guess we do. Preston got rid of their second resident trooper, which meant that ours no longer does DARE. So he used to do DARE and would do a variety, essentially any assembly we ask him to do. So when there's things that come up, he comes in, but he also just is there.
Right.
And I feel like when the admins were talking about the idea of a contact person or being able to talk to the same person or those types of things, I feel like that should be happening.
Right.
And so I guess I'm a little, and maybe my town is just blessed where I teach, right? And we just have a person who's personally dedicated in that way to the school specifically. And perhaps here we have other things that they're spending most of their time having to handle. But yeah, our kids are on a first name basis with our resident trooper, and that's huge. So.
Laura, did you have another question or a comment? Laura.
I'm muted, sorry. It was just along the lines of accessibility to our police. I just don't think that we have the state police resource available to us that other towns might have. And that's part of my big concern in an emergency. How quickly is someone going to be there? Are they on the other side of town? Where they were talking at, I know I mentioned this earlier, they were talking at one of the town Board of Selectmen or Board of Finance meetings about, just emergency services being available. So that's my concern is making sure that, we've got a door lock that doesn't necessarily work all the time correctly. I think that's at the elementary school. We've got security cameras that should be in the budget and working properly. We don't have necessarily people looking at those cameras all the time. It just seems like it would be a good kind of a wraparound service, a complement to complement our team of folks that are already at the school, the admin, the social worker, the psychologist. I don't think we can necessarily rely on our state police as we should.
So I think what I would really like to see is kind of a statement or assessment from our admins. Like, what do they need? Like, what would make their lives easier? Where are their holes? Like, do they find that there are security cameras that maybe aren't out, or do they need more help monitoring it? And then I remember in this assessment from Gary, he was talking about adding like the cement target balls, right? Do you remember this? And we had a whole conversation about that. Yeah.
We tried to get it through a grant and they turned
Oh,
us
that
down. We
was
actually talked
right.
about this in finance committee. So
Yeah, like so things like that I would really like to see us put our efforts into, and I think would really go a long way.
So I'm trying to figure out what's the next step on that. Like, I feel like these are all super great things. How do we bring that to fruition? So so a couple of things come to mind. One, is this something that we should be talking at a tri-board about these things becoming an issue? Or is it premature for that? Should we be putting together like a safety and security committee amongst ourselves and then outline, let's get an assessment from the admins. Let's see if we can get maybe Gary to come back in. Can we have a conversation with the selectmen one-on-one?
we might be reinventing things here though, because there is a safety and security committee at the school. And I think what we need to do is get the information that's already there. Because again, this wasn't brought to us by admin, right?
Right.
And so I would like to hear from our safety and security team. Is this an issue? Is this something we're supposed to be handling and not be something that we're creating from our side? I guess.
So we don't want to, a lot of that's confidential, I think, of what they're doing. So I'm wondering if we try to set up like a meeting of some sort with them to get a report out with maybe a couple of us or somebody. I'm just trying to think of what the best way is.
Do they actually have asks in the first place? I feel like if they were coming to Troy on a monthly basis saying, we've had to contact the police 13 times and we're getting different troopers, then we would have heard that from Troy at this point, and we haven't. So I guess I would just like our safety and security, or our security committee at the schools to maybe just tell us, is there something they need?
They're actually meeting very soon. In fact, I believe we rescheduled the meeting because of the snow days. Maybe they can make sure they talk about that. Do they have what they need?
And I will say in the past, it has come up from the administration. I remember specifically at some presentations, them talking about a security resource officer and those kinds of things. I think what happens, and I don't want to speak for your staff, they're going to be always reluctant to ask us because they know it costs money. And that's always been our push, right? If you need something, ask us. If you need something, ask us. But yet I think they know our budgets are tight, so they try to do their best in-house, the best they can. But that's probably a place to start.
But we're the ones that are supposed to fight for it, right? Like,
Right.
They tell us.
I mean, weren't the two admin in favor of it when they were here last meeting?
Yes.
They definitely
both
could use
spoke.
some support. They
both spoke that they
what
were in
does that
favor.
look like? We don't know, but they definitely were vocal about support would be
Right.
helpful.
Troy, in that meeting with the safety and security team, can you please, without me having to say too much here, can you please ask them what they've looked at outside of, I'll use this term again, like the 3-foot world of school security, and actually looking at on the national level, like what they're doing to secure buildings in situations that there were people on the outside.
Sure. Yeah. If a board member or two would like to attend the next district safety meeting, you're welcome to do that.
When is the meeting?
I'd have to get back to you on that.
Yes,
would
I'll
love to attend that meeting.
I might be able to look it
And I'll
up
attend as
now.
a person who has the inside knowledge.
Okay.
Outside knowledge. Thank you.
So me, Brian and Amy.
Will they be comfortable with three of us coming in?
Probably. There's
Okay.
nothing to hide.
No,
You know, and
I know. I
it's-
just, I
it-
don't want to
Yeah.
like, all right.
I mean, I could check. and-
If there's,
and
I mean,
see.
Judy, you can,
It
you're,
might be that you
I'll
all
step back
can't
if-
make
if-
it.
you're always, I
depending
mean, no,
on
what I'm
what it
just
is.
saying, you know everybody pretty well, so.
All right. So why don't we make that our first step is to see if some board participation can be part of that meeting.
It's March 11th.
All right. I think
Our next board meeting.
the day before we present to the board. No.
The
The-
18th.
Why do I have,
The
okay, let
week before.
me write this, March
It's the night of our
18th.
Next board meeting.
Night after our next item.
Okay,
Okay, that too, yeah.
March 11th. All right. And what time do they meet usually? Do you know?
I believe it's 3:30.
Okay. So does
And it's
3:30?
in the Wheeler,
Comments?
not in the Commons, in the library.
And does that
Media
work
center.
for Amy, Brian, and Judy? Okay, and if you can just let them know that we'll be coming there to support as well? Okay,
Okay.
great, thank you. Anything else on the SRO at this point? Okay, good discussion. That brings us up to our superintendent search. Where we are at in the process now is we have decided to hire a consulting group. We had 3 RFPs come through on that, yes?
Yeah. I'm just saying it's I'm getting a text. It's 2:30, the meeting.
Oh.
3:30.
Okay. Thought maybe you had a different announcement or
No,
something.
no.
Okay. You never know, yes? Yay. So we sent out the 3 RFPs. I got a lot of great feedback. So at this point, we're just looking for a motion on hiring a consultant firm.
I'll make a motion on hiring a consultant firm to be discussed or
I would, I would like to make a motion to hire CABE as our consulting firm for our superintendent search.
I second.
All right. Any more discussion on that? Everybody had a look at that, understands that?
I just want to just confirm. So at what point would we invite in the different groups that have contacted us to be part of the process?
So the way, I don't know if I have my spreadsheet in front of me, that packet that you received
Yep.
last time, hold on one sec. Oh, here we go. So there's a flow chart in there that explains that process. So the first thing we would do is, well, let's get this approved. First, we have a motion on the floor and then we can talk
Okay,
about.
but approving it doesn't mean that we're not including.
No,
Okay.
no,
I just wanted to
first
make
we have
sure.
to get a consultant on board and then we start the process, okay? So everybody, right now we have a motion on the floor to move forward with Mary Broderick of CABE. And all those in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstain? Okay. The other thing we have to do is figure out how we're going to fund that. So is everybody, does anybody want to make a motion on maybe funding that through the non-lapsing account?
I make a motion to fund, I don't know the exact number, fund the CABE services through the non-lapsing account up to, I think it was 13, but should we say
It's
up
like
to?
13.4, so why
Yeah,
don't we
so
say
up to
15?
15,000.
Okay,
I'll second that.
okay. Any other discussion on that? Just for the community to know the numbers were all very, very similar. Some were more of a menu type thing. Hers was very all encompassing. So we have a motion on the table to cover the CABE search services up to $15,000. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, great. So what I will do is reach out to her tomorrow. What? Yeah.
Laura,
Oh, sorry. She in favor?
did you have a vote on,
Yes, I'm in favor.
Okay, thank you. So I'll reach out to Mary tomorrow and let her know of our decision. The first step would be that we have a planning meeting with the board. So we need to schedule that as soon as possible. I'm wondering what your guys' appetite is for getting together next week. Excellent. Is there a day of the week that you prefer?
Can't be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
What?
I can't do Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. There's the town meeting. Selectmen meeting.
And you have to be to all
a joint
those?
Meeting, and then my brother has personal things happening those 2 days during the day.
Okay.
I'm gonna make this even harder, actually. But I would think that I might only be able to do Monday, but before perhaps
Before the town.
the town meeting. I'm just looking at my schedule, and there's the concert for the elementary, middle, high school, like all together,
What does
band
Thursday
chorus,
look
everybody
like?
on Tuesday.
Okay.
And then I have my parent teacher conferences for my district on Wednesday and Thursday.
Mhm.
Um,
All right. So-
Monday, I'll be in West Haven all day.
I could take it from the road, but I teach until 4
on Monday.
Yeah. So I could make it here by 5, maybe.
I could be back by 5.
And what time's the town meeting?
6.
Um, so let me ask you guys this, what is your feeling about maybe, and I know everybody's gonna freak out, Saturday morning? Mm-hmm.
That would be better. I know.
I have my kid's birthday party.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you're going to that too.
It's Saturday morning.
What?
It's Saturday morning.
It is. Yeah, it was Saturday at 11.
Do you have to be at that?
Not only at it, probably needing to help prep before
Right,
it.
right. Okay, so that doesn't work.
Oh, it's at 12 now? We changed. It was 11.
Still doesn't work though.
No, I think it's because when we're going mini golf. Oh, maybe we moved the mini golfing back till 3.
Tuesday.
And what's Wednesday? Concerts?
No. Wednesday, I will have parent teacher conferences on Wednesday.
Okay. All right. This is
What time?
this is so
Friday before the
critical.
basket raffle?
No.
Not Friday.
No,
I don't know that she's going to be available on a Friday.
What time on a Saturday, on the Saturday? If you, would you keep it to an hour?
I think we'd like to do it by Zoom and we'd like to keep it to an hour. Because we really, it's just the first planning meeting, right? It's kind of setting the rules, telling us what we're looking for. You know, we're going to want to let her know at that point that we've had people reach out that really want to be involved. How do we roll that in? And have some of that discussion.
Can we do it early? Like
I-
I could do 8 on Saturday.
I could do 8. I don't want to mess with your birthday party for sure. So, I could do 8. Do you want me to see about Monday at like 4:30? 5? You said 5 you could do?
I would just be in the car. So if you,
Oh, I hate to make you do
no,
it in
it's,
the
I
car.
mean, I'm just listening, so it would be okay, but
When you said this was going to be via Zoom.
Well, I think it would be the first one. Yeah.
So yeah,
And we have to see what her schedule is too. She might say, I can't do this or can't do that. Or, you know,
if Saturday 8 is a possibility, I can.
Yes.
I can, I don't know, somehow talk my way out of the doghouse with my wife.
or Monday at 5.
So Saturday first, Monday at 5 second.
Tuesday doesn't work. Tuesday's concerts.
Tuesday's concert. You know what? If we did it at 5 though, or like 4:30, I think the concert starts at 6.
Okay.
So if it was early enough on Tuesday, that would actually be best.
Tuesday at 4:30.
yeah, I think kids just have to be dropped off at 4:30. So
And we don't have
Sixth graders
our
not
meeting,
allowed.
right? Now that's been moved. That was moved to the 11th, right? Our para meeting.
Wait, we just scheduled something for the 11th.
We don't have a meeting for
Oh.
Okay. All right, let me see if Tuesday at 4:30 works, okay?
Okay.
And then otherwise I'll just throw you guys some different dates. We'll figure something out. All right.
So that following Saturday, I know that's pushing us 10 days out and maybe we don't want to do that, but
Mhm.
I'm wide open there. So
Okay. Let me
March
ask her,
7th.
let me get with Mary and see how much time do we need? What does this first meeting look like? Is it better to do something more comprehensive on a Saturday? How much can we bang out at that point? Or is it just a quick Zoom on Tuesday at 4:30? Let me just get a feel for what that looks like. You know, she might have already decided she doesn't want to help us either. We haven't. Let me reach out and make sure she's still interested. And then just from there, we'll go through the process. I think we should maybe put this flow chart up on the website under a heading for superintendent search, just as we get information so people kind of know where we are in the process.
I
And-
think we put it up now, but then we put a calendar up with dates so that people are able to see once Mary puts together a schedule for
Of when we're meeting. And everything
and
else.
also for all of those dates for surveys, for focus groups, for all of
Yep.
that stuff. We just want to make sure those are all really, really obvious to people.
Right. And it's going to be really important that people get involved in those focus groups. That's really where we're supposed to be gathering the information, trying to, kind of build our leadership profile of what we're looking for in the next superintendent and everything. So those focus groups become very, very important. There's interviews that take place, all of that to get everybody's feedback. All right. Any other questions on that right now? No? Okay. And I will get back to you guys. I'll reach out to her first thing tomorrow morning. Okay. Great. That brings us up to CABE is looking for a liaison. Chet, I know you said you would do it, kind of on a piece of that. How's the Learn looking for you with that noon time schedule change?
I have to be honest, even without that change this year, it's become more difficult. We had a really stripped down budget and we don't have the coverage that we once were able to give me.
Okay.
So I will happily do the CABE liaison piece. I think that would be a much more functional thing for me since it's not a during the day thing. It's a,
Okay.
If somebody else would be able to take over that Learn piece, I felt like I was doing it justice for the first year.
Yeah.
And since it's just become more difficult to get coverage for my classroom, I'm having a hard time with it.
Okay. So if you would take over as the liaison, then at this point we'd have an opening for the Learn Board of Directors position.
Which I let me just as a plug, it's a great board to be on
Mhm.
for a variety of reasons. You get a ton of access to other towns' Board of Ed members, wherein you get discussions where you get to understand kind of what other towns are seeing and then how they're dealing with it. You get a much larger perspective than you get sitting on the board here. And you also, not to say our meetings aren't run well in general, but the man who is the chair there has been a Board of Ed member for like 45 years. He was honored at the CABE convention this year. Like he knows his Robert's rules. He knows his process, all of the things. It's really interesting to watch him run a meeting even. And Kate, the head of Learn, is amazing. It's a neat board to be on.
Yeah.
So as much as it's a time commitment and a thing to have to do, it's also it's a fun process. I'm sad that I would not be able to continue doing it.
So you guys can give that some thought. I think it's the third Thursday of every month and they meet at noon. But I'll firm that up and we'll try to find somebody. Oh, is it the second? Okay.
There is a Zoom option. It actually is harder for me to do a Zoom option because I don't have any space in my school to hang out after this call.
So it's right off the interstate. Yeah.
It's right off.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, we'll put that on the calendar, on the schedule for next time to discuss it. Okay. There won't,
If no one's going to take it, I will get there when I can get there and I'll do the best that I can. But yeah.
I might be able to do it as well. Yeah. All right, so that brings us up to policy 5113.
Calendar.
Oh, right, we added the calendar. It's right there. All right, so we need to talk about snow days.
Handout to help with this discussion. And I can talk you through what I've done to this calendar as a possible option. And then, of course, the board can decide to do whatever they want. And I'm going to be fine with it. What I did on this calendar is I put in orange the days that we've missed. Okay, so you get January 26th and 27th, and then February 23rd, 24th, and 25th. So those are 5 days we have missed. So one way of looking at this is to say, all right, how can we make up the 5 days we missed? Okay, so now I'm going to lead you through that scenario first. Okay, that scenario, I put in green the days that could become student instruction days, because his first one is March 13th, which was going to be a full PD day. What I'm suggesting is it could become a half day for kids and half PD day. And then in May 22nd, same thing. It was a full PD day, could become a half student day and a half PD day. So we're gaining 2 student days, but we maintain or retain the PD function. That is vital to our district. And then in June, our last day was going to be the 12th. You simply have to add the 3 other days, 15th, 16th, 17th. All right, so that's one option, and that keeps the 182 student days. Okay, now by law, you don't have to do 182 student days. You could do 180.
But by contract, we have 182 days.
But by contract, yeah, there's 182 days for teachers, plus there's 5 PD days, so it's 187 work days total for teachers. Right. So you can make adjustments with those June days if you wanted to bring the kids in for just one to make it 180 days. You'd only be bringing them back on a Monday. You could then have teachers come on the 16th and 17th and do PD. Then we're also not done with the winter. Okay. And you might need to you could actually approve an adjustment as of now, knowing that you may have to make additional adjustments later. I hope not.
Can I just, for the record, because I've heard from a lot of parents, June 12th will be graduation, correct?
Correct.
Okay, great. That's what I've been saying. So I think it just needs to be on the record.
So how would that work?
Can we second that?
Come back after.
Yeah, the kids would still come in. It's just not the seniors.
Right.
Can we?
Seniors are done. All underclassmen would then finish out whatever their assessments are.
Can I ask a separate question? What about middle and 6th grade promotion? Are those dates staying the same no matter when?
No, I think they would have to make appropriate adjustments based on when their last day was and go back from the last day. So it's like normally when they would do it.
Okay, just because I know that's also been a question I've been getting
and those happen during school days anyway. So
yes, they do. But it's also a planning thing for people if they may have, I know, it's not as big of a deal to be promoted from 8th grade up to the high school, but there's still maybe family members coming in or other things that would happen. So,
and I'm assuming those 5. So say you kept this with the 17th, that would be a half day. The 16th, I want to be clear that those are half days. Right.
The last 3 days would be half days, Troy?
I'm sorry. Yes. Yeah. The last 5 days would be half days for.
So then they'd be full days on the 8th, 9th, and 10th.
Well, they wouldn't have to be.
Well, yeah, we're not going to have 8 half days. I mean,
well, I think we should consider going to the 180 days. I mean, our teachers have gone through
a cyber incident. They've gone through a lice situation. They have gone through blizzard and numerous snow days. And I think we had talked about ways of making up the cyber incident to them when it happened. And I think the 180 days is the way to do that.
Here, here,
Can,
Judy.
I think we need to wait to make a final decision until our next meeting because we have another possible snow event coming up next week.
I agree, but I think that we can talk about the 180 still as a consideration. My only concern, I know Brian had brought up at one point the attendance aspect and the
Yeah.
10%
As
for
we start
chronic
looking at our
absenteeism.
attendance policy next, because at 180 days, any kid that hits 18 absences, which I'm sure there are a few that are sitting right on 18 at the end of the year, that now puts them, if we're 180 days, that makes them chronically absent, which bumps up our chronic absent numbers by a lot. 182 actually gives us quite a bit of a cushion because even at 181, if that kid is 18, they're at about a 9.9% absence rate, which puts them under the threshold for reporting it to the state.
Okay.
So just something to keep in mind. I don't know what those absence numbers, the actual absent numbers are for kids. I'm sure Kristen and Allison have a much better handle on that. So I would defer to them on that one.
And I do really like making those the 13th and the 22nd as like half days. I think that would be a really great way to mitigate that. I am very worried that we're not done. So I want a bigger buffer to
Mhm.
kind of hit that. So the if we could drop it to maybe consider dropping it to 180 or 181 and then having those half days, then we're buying ourselves some more time if needed.
Can I ask Brian, just because I know you have a lot of information on the attendance aspect of things in your current job, what difference does it make? I mean, I know it's a number and I know it's a thing that the state's keeping track of. Do we lose funding? Is there a,
So what happens is, it's not that we lose funding. but
are we just if we're just designated for the year as a school with chronic absenteeism,
you might have to,
I'm not actually
Right.
going to be that worried.
you may have to create other committees though that then eat up people's time, and you might have to create other groups depending on if it pushes you into a certain band. So I would be, I don't know, again, I don't recall off the top of my head what their chronic absentee rate was for last year. I'm sure it was under the 15%, but if all of a sudden this year, because of snow and other things, and now we go to 180, a bunch of those kids hit 18. Now it could, I mean, 3 kids makes a big difference in a lot of stats for the school. So I would just be, I would want the admins to kind of look at it and go, we know who our kids are that tend to kind of sit around these numbers. We'd feel comfortable with 18 or with 180 versus 181. I would defer to them on that one because they know their students better.
Certainly, there'd be more discussion. Administrators would have to figure out how they would need to adjust after the board decides to adjust their calendar in terms of promotion and when everything is exactly. They'd have to look at that and kind of weigh the options.
I do think it's important to let parents know regarding the 13th and the 22nd though, because that's going to make significant changes and I don't see any reason to not do that. So I think I would make a motion that for the moment, what we do is adjust the calendar so that March 13th and May 22nd are no longer full day PD, but rather half day school, half day PD days.
I'd second that motion.
Further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed, abstained, all right, Laura? Wanna raise your hand?
Laura, in favor, opposed? In favor?
Favor, yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and then we'll put the calendar back on for
Next week or next time,
2 weeks from now.
you would think. Okay, way to say that. Good job. Thanks. Thanks, Christine.
Hey, I will say, I think the one time that we've been forgiven from the state level, it had to do with stuff that happened in April. So once we get into April, we might actually get,
Yeah, so it was storms a few years ago that really took out.
it was that flooding, it was the flooding back
Yeah.
in 2010, I think, that the state forgave days.
All right, so that brings us up to policy 5113.
Let's see. Yeah, so this is just a a policy that Chet and I took a look at and determined it was a little bit older. And has been some updates. And so we looked at the CABE suggested one. But we also had some helpful language in our current one that we thought that would be good to keep. And it's a good way to support the administrators in supporting the students and their attendance. It has some language has to do with possibly losing credit for courses if they have so many unexcused absences from a course. So the new policy from CABE does add language for children of military families, okay, which is our current policy does not have. All right, so it does have that update. So you can see our current one is from 2017, which is now like almost 9 years old. So
it does also change the definition of absent in a weird way. So there's like there's little random things that were changed based on like based on state statute. So it's changes in the way that they're defining things. I would be okay unless there's a strong belief on the part of the administrators that 20-day piece needs to be in there. I actually feel like most students who miss more than 20 days but are still passing their classes are missing them because of chronic illness or because of other things outside of their control. And those students who miss 20 days who just aren't really caring about attending school at that time in their life are also the ones not making up the work and therefore likely not passing the class in the first place. So I do think it's tricky. I know from experience, I was a student who injured myself severely my senior year. And the anger that my mother expressed to the school system when she got the automated letter that stated that my semester course, I'd missed more than 10 days, which had been me in the hospital with her. I don't think that's something you need to put people through. I think it can be something that's decided by the grades that student accomplishes, and not necessarily by their presence.
I would agree with you on that one. I've seen many districts actually move away from attaching credit to attendance as a whole because the belief should be that if a student isn't there getting the instruction, they shouldn't really be able to pass the assessments, especially if they miss a majority of those classes. So I think to tie it to an arbitrary number, I've seen some districts use 40 as their number. I mean, it's really no rhyme or reason. The state doesn't regulate it. I get it. It is an administrator's way of saying that you need to be here, but there are better ways of doing it through the MTSS process.
If we were going to consider removing that language from the policy, I'd want to get my administrators, talk to them about this because I haven't really talked to them about it because I just assumed we would keep that part in if we're updating the policy. So I haven't talked to them, but if we're going to consider removing it, I had thought that possibly there could be a regulation that's connected to the policy if they want to have a specific procedure and tie number of absences to credits and all that. But this is not something that I would just like to take off without talking to them and possibly if they feel strongly about it being there and it's helpful to them, I think that's worth considering, at least having their voice in here. And then you could decide what you want because it's your policy.
I make a motion to table policy 5113.
I second that motion.
Wait. But if we have other comments, can we make them?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I just
Do you want me to do it now or are we going to vote? Okay. I guess the other thing that I find as an elementary school parent very frustrating is that there seems to be some confusion about this, how many absences you can have, and then what's an excused absence and not excused absence if you're sick. Well, now this I think is much clearer now that, it's saying that essentially for the 10th absence, if your student is still sick, it's considered excused because if you have a doctor's note, right? And I think that that's really important to state so that we don't send our kids sick. Please. Please. Or whatever. But I think that that's really a good part of this new document. Whereas the other, before I was like, why do you have to have a doctor's note? Do you not? It was very unclear to me in that old policy.
Any other discussion on that?
I
So
have a
you-
comment.
Okay, Laura?
So along those lines, and I know that we're looking at that state policy, I have real concerns and have for a long time with the 1 through 9 absences being excused, even just by a parent's note. I do feel that if a student has a chronic health condition, let's say they have to have surgery, that they're going to have a doctor's note for those first 9 absences. And then for the rest of the year, they're on the hook for even one illness day to get a doctor's note, which then creates a disparate treatment and unfair practice to the children who have those serious and chronic health conditions. I heard what Chet said. It really sticks with me. I too have had a child who has needed to have heart surgery and used up Christmas vacation time, returned to school, had that more than 9 days of that absence. And then the very next month was exposed to COVID, had to be out again. And for the rest of the year, we were on the hook for a doctor's note. So it's very frustrating that basically the kids that want to stay out of school have a 9-day free pass and the other students do not. And I guess the other problem that I had with it too is that when we're looking at who is being accepted to college, who's being accepted to trade schools, who's being accepted in the co-op programs, who's getting the opportunities in the school system, attendance is part of that. And those children that have the medical health conditions that have to be absent from school are being treated a little bit differently. So I know that's the state kind of regulation with the 1 through 9, but I would be very remiss if I didn't point out how unfair that practice is.
I'm going to jump in and agree with Laura on this one. My child just had a situation this year where one week he was out for 4 days, went back to school. The next week he was out for 3 days, went back to school, was out for another 3 days. Granted, they were all doctor excused. But now to Jamie's thing, if my child has a fever in the morning, I'm not going to take him to the doctor. I'm going to give him Tylenol. I'm going to take care of him. But now I have to get a doctor's note for that to be excused, which is really an unfortunate situation because I don't send my child to school
Yeah.
sick.
And we are bound by the law in following that. So, we don't have a lot of flexibility in how that law is written and how we apply it.
However, to certain chronic conditions, things like that, what Laura described, what Chet described, those could all be handled through a medical 504 where documentation would not be needed for those recurring absences after the fact. So it's just a matter of understanding and having school counselors, administrators who are aware of these situations, then kind of using those measures to actually protect the student.
It would if it were related to that surgery, if it was related to that medical condition. But what I'm talking about is it's not just it's any illness after that. It's any absence after that. So, you go take them to the doctor and the doctor's like, why are you here? You're on day 1 of an illness. Why are you here? Well, I'm here because I need a doctor's note because the school says I need it. The state says I need it. Instead of getting care and paying for care because of the medical condition, I'm paying for care for a doctor's note to just meet the policy of a state mandate, which is ridiculous. So that's where, and if it's going to have a disparate impact on them, whereas another student who's tardy or is late or not late, absent, just because, whatever, for any or no reason, they're going to have a better attendance record than my child because of the medical condition. These are parents that, they've already had a financial burden by having the medical bills, and now they're forced to incur more medical expenses. So I'm just pointing out that there is a definite disparity there. And I totally understand, Troy. This is not the first time I've spoken up about this to the state. And I know it's a state rule, that 1 through 9, but I just wanted to point out to everyone and the administrators too, when we're looking at opportunities, that we're careful not to exclude students, just, carte blanche on that attendance piece.
Okay, any other discussion? All right. All those in favor? Opposed? And abstain. Laura, are you voting? Okay, thank you. Okay. All right, it is 8:10. I'm just saying. All right, so we need to have a consent agenda.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Laura?
Yep.
Okay. Opposed and abstain? All right. Do we have any Board of Ed comments on future agenda items? I think we have enough right now. Oh, Jamie?
No, I just want to keep pushing. I would really like to have, excuse me, the lights, the light situation. Sorry, the stage lights. There we go.
Discussed.
Yes.
Yes.
I would like representatives here to talk about the problem, why, and
Well, and I think we kind of know what the problem is. I think we need to find a solution. I just want to make sure that we're looking at what are the solutions, not just throwing money at it.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think everybody needs to kind of hear what the problem is.
Okay. So maybe get that on as almost a presentation of sorts.
Yes.
Okay.
And like, I saw the 115,000, but I think there are creative ways that we could get there for a lot less.
Okay.
And maybe they have ideas of like, what do they really need and what don't they need? And
Okay.
both at the elementary and
So in light of being where we are with superintendent search and budget right now, are you okay with us holding off a couple of meetings before addressing that?
I am not, because I am getting some members of the public asking me about it. That
Okay.
was corresponded to between Troy and I.
Okay.
So I would like to put it up
Sooner than
sooner,
later.
please. Yes.
Okay. Could we put it at the first meeting in March, or does it have to be the next meeting?
Isn't
That
was-
is the first
yeah,
meeting. The
the
first
next
meeting is
meeting.
March.
Oh, I was sorry. I was out of town for like 11 days and everything is completely messed up. Would you be okay then with the first meeting in March or?
Yeah, I
Okay.
think we should talk about it sooner rather than later, and
Okay.
especially during budget time. I would like to
See where we're at
see
with
where
it.
we're at. Yeah, because we're not supporting our music or our theater programs at all.
All right, Troy, do you think that gives you enough time to address some of that? To have somebody come and present about the stage lighting
I
situation?
can certainly ask if anybody who uses the stage and the lighting would like to come and talk about what the issues are with it.
Okay,
But they may feel like they have already expressed that, and because we do know like the overheating and somebody, so I can I can ask them.
okay. And I'm just curious who came up with the 115,000 for the
Well,
solution?
Randy had two companies come and take a look, and they're supposed to give him more specific quotes and details and options.
Okay,
But that's about what we were looking for for just Wheeler.
okay. And we would like to look at it for
But
both
yes, there would
schools.
be other options that they're supposed to give us, which would then some of those options would be less.
Okay, so
Yeah.
can we just maybe circle back? I know Randy's inundated right now, but just circle back to him to see where he's at in that process. And then we can maybe get just a report out from our drama team on what they're experiencing. It doesn't have to be long, 10 minutes. Just let us know where they're at so the community can hear that as well. Fair? Good? Okay. Anything else? All right, can we get a motion to adjourn?
Do you want to do public
Oh, we need
comment?
public comment. I'm sorry. Not seeing any. Can we get a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye, opposed, abstain. Thank you. Good job.
No, they're-